Have you ever wished you could eavesdrop on a conversation with a millionaire? My name is Michelle Thompson. I'm a retired project controls engineer and business professor, and that's exactly what I'm going to do in this podcast. I get to ask the questions that everyone else wishes they could. I'm going to find out exactly how they were able to build their empires through automation and outsourcing. And I'm going to break it down in a way that helps you build your business to run on autopilot. Don't miss out on Automate to Dominate. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Automate to Dominate. Today's guest is Aleasha Bahr, and she is the owner of Aleasha Bahr Sales and Marketing. Now, Aleasha, I'm so excited to have her because she is the absolute queen of closing high-end ticket sales. In fact, Aleasha is actually known for having an alternative to high-pressure sales. It closes at an amazing, over 50% of the time, which is impressive. But if you look at Aleasha's track record herself, she actually closes 90% on 5, 6, and 7-figure sales. Aleasha, so great to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle.
Oh, it's an honor. It's a pleasure. Aleasha, can you give us a quick background on how you made it to where you are today?
Yeah. So basically I started with this little website and did a lot of online marketing stuff. It was called allaboutcobble.com. And I worked with all the clients to help them advertise on there. And it was like a startup. So got that experience out of the way.
Like Cabo, Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It was before SEO was ruined. So they ranked #1 for all keywords related to Cabo. So we were able to sell the real estate on the website to businesses in Cabo.
Nice.
Yeah. So then I moved to regular media. So I worked with radio and newspaper selling their digital marketing. So big nationwide companies with large digital capabilities, especially newspaper has a lot of digital capabilities because everybody reads the news online. So I sold a lot of stuff there to automotive, to real estate, to small business, to big business, to retail, like you name it. And then I was kind of disappointed in always the company I worked with not delivering on client promises. So I decided to make my own company. And I had a digital marketing agency for 3 years. And I recently moved to do sales and marketing strategy and consultation because a lot of sales coaches or trainers out there don't look at the funnel at all and what the marketing looks like. And I found that it makes a big difference. And I'm able to impact more people this way than doing only a couple of companies' marketing campaigns.
Okay. So for you, it was more about being able to have a broader reach versus just one-man band, and you had to just take a couple select clients. Is that right?
Right. And I scaled it to the point that I could with I just thought about it like I've never known a happy agency owner.
That's not good.
They're really overwhelmed. Like it takes a long time before you're not working all the time. So, I made a choice that helped more people and also was less demanding on me.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That's what this podcast is all about, actually, how to not kill yourself and be able to set things up and automate them. So we're totally in line.
Perfect.
So what made you pick sales and marketing? Did you fall in love with it, or is it just kind of you just stumbled into it as your career went on?
So I stumbled into it to begin with. I always liked being creative. So marketing ties in a lot with that. I'm what you would call more of like a creative idea marketer, although I do like data a lot too, to make informed decisions, but I love coming up with fun ideas. And then sales, I just sort of fell into. I didn't think that I was a very good salesperson, but I like people. And I realized that there is a real need for somebody who cares about the person that they're selling to. I don't
Isn't
know.
that a novel new concept, right?
Yeah, I just realized that I was good at sales because I cared. And over time, it was really lucky because we sold in pairs at the media companies that I worked at. So I would work with a print rep on their accounts and on new business, but I would sell the digital portion of the client's campaign. So we would sell in teams all the time. And I got to see so many different styles and take what I liked about different styles and throw away what I didn't like, and really evolve my sales approach to fit me based on, other really great salespeople. And there was some sales training too that they offered at the companies. But as anybody who's ever taken sales training knows, it's always sort of lackluster. So it really, like, working with people gave me so much exposure, and I was able to just really hone in on something that worked almost all the time.
That's awesome. So I know for me personally, I've very much moved towards value selling as opposed to, just selling in it. And it sounds like that's a little bit what you're talking about. How have you changed your marketing, your business in the beginning to how you market now?
Well, I always marketing. So I haven't really changed my business marketing wise too much. I mean, except that the fact that I am more focused on sales, and then the marketing is just like a nice bonus that people should consider when they're thinking about increasing their sales. Like, what's your messaging? What's your offer? What's your funnel? What's your pricing? And what's your audience are all a big part of sales succeeding. So yeah, it's definitely, and figuring out, like anybody starting a new business, you evolve with what the market wants. So figuring out what messaging was resonating with people that I would love to work with. So it's turned into, I will say it changed. In the beginning, I was saying it was like power closers, and then learned that sounds very authoritative and domineering and alpha, and that's not the people that I want to work with. So I've changed it to now be putting humanity back in your sales and making a killing doing it.
That's a great shift. I just actually did something really similar when I had first designed Awesome Outsourcing. I kind of thought that the majority of my audience was going to be male small business owners. And so the website was kind of cold and clean, and, I realized the more that I do this, the majority of our audience is actually females. And there's a whole bunch of us that are solopreneurs and small business owners who want to learn how to do this successfully and not have to be the dominant power. Like, we don't, we can be women and be very successful, and we don't have to be a bull in a china closet to do that.
Right.
and that's awesome that you've honed into that. That's perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh yeah. So as you've grown and you're very value based, help our listeners figure out, how can someone honestly sell being very genuine and without sounding like a slimy salesman, right? Because we all need to make money, but that's why we're in business. But like, a lot of times that's not the ultimate goal, but if we don't make that goal, we're going to die and we're not going to be in business. So how do you balance the two between, giving value and being honest and genuine and not being super slimy?
Yeah. So it is something that a lot of people associate, like, oh, I'm a good person, so I'm not good at sales. And it's like, well, you're not going to be able to help anybody if you can't sell them on how you can help them. Is just the reality of the situation. So what helps a lot of people is to get out of your head about it being a sales call at all, and just focus on how you can help the other person, and if you can help the other person. And not in the way that you give everything away, although you shouldn't even be able to give everything away in a 30 minute to hour long phone call. You want to leave them with some value that they can walk away with, but more than anything, you really want to understand what they're going through and dig deeper. And if you can help them, then offer help. And money is a result of that, but it's not the entire point of the phone call. It's not, I need to convince this person to give me their money. It's, can I help this person? And if I can, great. Then we can move forward and work together.
Yeah. And that's, you talk about on your website, 20% talking and 80% listening. And I think that that's so important. How do you fit that in when you're trying to give value to someone and you want to help them, but you also need them to tell you how they can help you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a naturally curious person. So I always say there's only 3 things that you need to be good at a good salesperson. And it's curiosity, passion, and empathy. So if you're able to understand, if you're genuinely curious about what somebody's been through. So what have you done? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What's your goal moving forward? Did you try this? What was the result? You know, like asking genuinely curious questions to understand what's going on, not these like contrived scripted questions that you often see, like, what's your biggest challenge right now? Or something like that. That's not really like getting at what has happened to this point. So you get a clear picture of where they are. So being genuinely curious as if you were just having a conversation that wasn't about a sales call. And then the empathy piece of it is truly understanding where they are coming from. Like, have they actually been burned? Like, are they scared? Are they cautious? What would you be like if you were in that position? And that will naturally tailor your responses, because you will know like how you would want to be treated in that situation, basically. And then passion, being excited to offer somebody the solution to this problem, is exciting. So this person is coming on the phone hoping that you are going to be able to solve this thing that they have a problem with. That's what they want. So it is exciting for both of you if it is a fit and you can help them. So, I mean, I think that there's just not very much talking when you're naturally uncovering a situation. And when you do, it's more of an exchange of conversation. It's not so much like a pitch at the end. Even when you're at the quote unquote pitch part, you want to be checking in with the person and saying, did I hear you right? Does that sound like something you need help with? Does this sound like would solve that for you? Things like that. So it's an ongoing conversation. It's never like, here's the part where I pitch. Because if you get to the part where you pitch and you just talk the whole time, you're going to lose their interest, and they're going to have their guard up. They're going to be more skeptical during that period of the conversation, rather than it being an exchange like where you're checking in and making sure that, because a lot of times people won't understand what you're saying, but they won't say anything unless you ask them.
And that, what you just said is so golden. Can I just rephrase that? Just,
Sure.
know, because if you guys didn't catch it, she just said, let them talk like a normal human being. Don't be nervous. Just talk to them like you're talking to a friend, asking them what their problem is. And if you have the solution, then wouldn't you try to help a friend with the solution that you have? And stop making it so much about the end close, and just having that conversation and be able to talk to them. And if you genuinely can help them, awesome. Then you know what? It's a win for both of you. And if you can't help them, then you shouldn't sell them in the first place, because it's not a good fit. And not everybody is a good fit for you. You shouldn't be selling to everybody. And if you are, you're doing it wrong. Absolutely 100% wrong. And so just by listening to them and talking to them like they're your best friend and you want to help them is just absolutely gold, and a perfect way to start that conversation and pull the information out of them, not because you're trying to close them, but because you're trying to help them, just like you would help a friend. And that is just amazing. I think so many people get so nervous when they get on the phone and they're like, oh my gosh, I have to close this. I have to close this. I'm a failure if I don't help them. And it's it's not about that. It's like, it's just what
Yeah.
you said. It's about building relationships. It's about actually helping people and listening. So that was golden. And it actually, you know, the next question that I was going to ask you kind of leads right into that. And we kind of already answered it, but maybe we can just highlight some of what you said. You know, as listeners improve on their selling, how can they talk about the results of what that person's come to you with a problem, right? And they need a certain result. And so many times when people are quote unquote selling, they're talking about the features of their product and what their product's going to do for them versus the result and the new reality that your thing that you're selling is going to help them with their problem. Can you talk to us a little bit about that tiny little shift that means everything?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that is so important, and that's cool that you know about that. Everything that you mentioned should connect to the end result. You know, a lot of people assume that it's obvious what the end result is of their feature. Like, oh, well, we offer audits so that we can ensure like that there are no missing gaps in your process. But you would say, we do audits, so we make sure that you have the most efficient process possible so you can save time and make more money or whatever. It just sounds better to connect it to the end goal rather than it just being this audit that sounds awful.
Right. It's not the arbitrary process. It's the dream at the end of what they're trying to solve, right?
Right. And it is genuinely like, think about each of the features of your service or product. And the reason that you have them is so they can get that and achieve that desired result. So you just need to point out why that's part of your offering. It's so you can XYZ. And in a more advanced way, you want to tailor it to what their specific goal is. So for example, I had a client who sold books, and people either wanted to get their message out or they wanted leads. So he would tailor his delivery of the service so that the end result either focused on one of those depending on what type of person it was.
And that all goes back to that listening in the beginning, right?
Yes, very important. Well, and hopefully homework even before that. If you can do some research on somebody before you talk to them, it makes a huge difference. It makes them feel like they care, and it gives you some insight, and it can really streamline the conversation because, you know, questions are so important, but the right questions. So a lot of people waste time. There's a very finite amount of energy and attention span with somebody. And the faster you can get to the point, and like, it's kind of like, maybe if you were, not that selling is anything like therapy, but like when you go to a therapist, you have to tell them all your whole freaking life story before you can even get to anything. And it's just exhausting. What if you pretty much knew a lot of the details already? They would be grateful to have that conversation streamlined, and it gives you better insight and it makes them feel like you care. So definitely would recommend some homework up front too. But yes, and then the questions need to be very purposeful, not just designed to like keep them talking or some psychological trick where, I don't know, you're trying to like get them to say yes enough times that they'll eventually say yes or whatever.
Yeah, that always cracked me up when, you know, when you're like, people are like the perfect webinar and you have to get them to chat and get all this engagement, and really, let's just be human. But
yeah,
no, you're absolutely right. So, and that kind of flows right into doing your homework. How do you, because you only have a finite amount of energy too, so you don't want to spend your time talking to the wrong people. Right. How do you pre-qualify your leads so that when you get on the phone with somebody, you know that you're doing the homework because they are an ideal client for you?
Yeah. So you want to, on your form, you want to have an application ideally and some questions that somebody fills out. And the questions that you have on the application should directly relate to what you're looking for in a client or a customer. So for example, a lot of people have pre-qualification questions that, I don't know, they just stole from someone else's form that are like, you know, are you a positive results driven person? Like, who's going to say no? You know, stuff like that. That's like, you're wasting their time. like for me, it's the question is, do you have leads? How many leads do you have a week? What's your website? Those types of things, so that I know the person is a good fit for me.
And so when you get that information, what do you do with that information to know that they're a good fit?
Well, so I want somebody who does have leads, ideally. I mean, it's changed. It's shifted a little bit because I'm not pay for performance anymore. But when I was pay for performance, if they didn't have leads, I would have to reach out and say, hey, it looks like we're not a fit right now, and provide them with some resources so that they could get leads. Like, it seems like you have a leads problem more than a sales problem. So you always want to have a resource to give people, even if they're not a good fit. And that goes on the phone too. If you find out it's not a good fit, you want to point them in the right direction. Like, well, I think this person might really be able to help you. Would you like me to make an introduction or something like that? So that you're always leaving somebody with some value. But yeah, I mean, they appreciate you not wasting their time too.
Yeah. And that's awesome. I actually had someone do that for me when I was starting out. I wasn't in the spot where I was able to work with him. And so, he was just straight up, Michelle, you're not ready. You need to go learn this. Here's the name of the guy. Go take this course, go learn everything you can from him. And when you've conquered that, then if you want to have another conversation, we can. And he was actually doing me a huge service, because he could have, at that point I was like ready to buy, right? And he's like, no, I will not take your money because you're not ready. And I think that's a huge, huge value add. And I became, like, even before I was a client of his, like, I was a raving fan for life because he did what was right for me. That's so incredibly awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people are scared to say no. Like you were saying, they force fits. And the truth is that you will be, one, often miserable with clients that are not a good fit for you. And two, they won't get results, which causes the person that's selling something to doubt themselves and to have somebody out there saying bad things about them. And you want to work with people that can get results with you and that you enjoy working with. Once you've had a nightmare client, like, you'll never do it again.
And I think people operate under scarcity so much, which if you think about it, right? Somebody was telling me this the other day. There's like something crazy, like 7 billion people on the planet, right? And like, let's say, only 0.01% of them are a good fit for you, right? You're never, ever going to be able to help 700,000 people, right? Yeah. So, there's enough out there for everyone. Pick who is in your lane, who you can totally help, and, stop with the scarcity mindset and just work on value and helping people. And you're going to get there. If they're not in the space where you need them to be, pass them off, let somebody else help them. And then they're going to naturally come back. It's just, the right thing to do, which is incredible.
Absolutely.
So you talked about forms. Let's say somebody's listening to this and they have no idea how to even set up a form. Talk to me a little bit about the systems and the tech that you have on the back end to help automate some of your work.
Yeah. So any autoresponder comes with forms. And I like to use those forms because I don't like, if you use Typeform or something, you have to have a Zap that integrates with the autoresponder. So I just like to use the form from the the autoresponder, or you can also just integrate it with ClickFunnels. I use ClickFunnels. So when somebody submits a form, I get the information in my email and I can follow up with them. And they also get added to a list where I can continue nurturing them.
Yeah, ClickFunnels has made it amazingly simple, right? Because just about everything is all in one house. I mean, Russell Brunson's done an amazing job of taking all the problems and making it very streamlined and helpful. Let's say I'm at a point where I just can't spend $97 or $297 a month for ClickFunnels. What would you recommend as a good starting point?
So that's hard because it is something, you get 2 weeks free trial, but I would just maybe even put the form on your domain. It depends on where you are in your business. You could also, basically ask the questions in the direct messaging feature of any social platform where you're advertising, and then decide to set up a call from there. WordPress is free, which is nice. You have to figure out how to work with WordPress though, which can be annoying sometimes, at least from the design point of view. I'm going through that right now. Like, adding a page is fine. Making it look pretty is not easy always.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God for themes and templates.
Yeah, but still, I'm still like having to mess with it. It's just, it's not out of the box ready. It's not drag and drop.
Right. Yeah.
Necessarily.
Which is the nice part about ClickFunnels, because it pretty much is drag and drop, and you don't have to worry about, they're not, like you said about the Zap, right? You don't have to worry about the Zap not working from the type form into the Google spreadsheet or wherever you're putting it. I know when I first started out, I think I used MailChimp because it was free. And they have the ability to do some forms that are pretty easy. It's a pretty easy learning curve. Plus they have like awesome customer service. So you could call them up and be like, hey, I need to create this form and I have no idea how to do it. So Drip is another one that will start for free, and you can make some awesome forms, and it'll funnel it right into your like personal email, even if you don't have like a business email, just for people who are like really just starting out and have no absolute clue how to do it yet. Those are two good resources that would help. So can I shift directions just a little bit?
Sure.
Awesome. I would love to talk to you about the two people that have helped you the most become the successful person that you are today. Who are those top two people that just automatically come to mind?
Well, they're not somebody that you could necessarily like follow. I mean, there is one that you could follow. So one of the guys that I sold with, I love to this day, and he's an entrepreneur too. He left the media company to start his own business. His name's Paul Shantz. So he was just like, you've never met someone who just would take somebody off guard so quickly by just genuinely having a conversation about whatever random shit was coming up. Like really kind of goofy almost, like, oh, wow, look at outside the window. And I'm like, we're in the middle of a sales meeting, man. What are you doing? But like, it kind of adds like some character and personality and fun to the meeting, and like didn't take anything personally. And it was all just, don't take life too seriously. And it's a lot more fun, basically. And it makes sales a lot more fun too. So I really liked a lot. I'll never forget when I first started working on his team, and I was sending an email to one of his clients, and he was like, that is entirely too long. It needs to be like 2 sentences. And I have really adopted that. People don't have time to read emails. So it needs to be like very quick, like what's the benefit to you? So, and then the other person is Gary Barnes. So he is somebody who you could look up. He is an international speaker and best-selling author, published 7 books, has such a wealth of experience, has dealt with so many people, so many situations. His experience is just deep. So, and he has some real he's all about actionable things that you can grab onto and incorporate into your business. So he's been a huge influence too.
So what's the biggest takeaway you got from Gary?
One of the things I really loved from Gary was when somebody says, let me think about it, and you try to get a little deeper, but they don't want to. They're just like, let me think about it. You can say, I want to be honest. So if you have a gut feeling that this is wrong, I want you to listen to that, because that's important and it's not a good fit. But if your hesitance is coming from being like scared of doing something new, like a change, that's not going to go away. The only thing that's going to make that go away is moving forward and getting results. So if it feels like a fit and you trust me, please trust me to provide those results to you. And I really liked that approach of addressing the fear that causes a lot of people not to move forward, that is illogical and irrational and makes people stay in the same spot for a really long time until the situation is so dire that they're just like, fine, and they'll make a decision. And maybe it's not the best one. And they just stay stuck for a lot longer. So I loved that approach.
Yeah, that's a really soft way to do it, where you give them the out, but then you also address the underlying nagging problem that they don't want to tell you, but really probably is, I'm terrified to spend the money, right? And so to be able to kind of touch that and normalize it and let them know, hey, it's okay. And if you don't trust me, then okay, we've got a major problem.
Yeah,
we shouldn't be clients, right? It's not a client. And so that's a great way to kind of hit 3 major milestones all in one real short little conversation. That's awesome.
Yeah, I loved it.
So if you were at a party and you ran into an entrepreneur and they're like, I'm going to rock the world, and you could only give them one book, what would it be?
Oh, so I'm reading a new book that is really good called Straight Line Leadership. And it's basically about how you need to adjust your inner stance. You can think positive and you can, take all these courses and know all these things. But if your inner stance isn't aligned correctly, then you're not going to succeed. So basically, doing whatever it takes to get what you need, like within reason. So a lot of people say, I know I need to do this. I know I need to do that. I know I need to do that, but they're not living that example. So it's basically just like the freedom of being able to create your life in every moment starting now. And it's always now. And the only way that anything's going to change is if you do something about it now, basically. So as an entrepreneur, you can get really stuck in like self-doubt or worry. So he compares it to geometry, like he calls them circle people. And we all have circle and zigzag people inside of us, like people that have a burst of moving forward and then we zigzag because we're like, get scared or have a setback or whatever. But if you constantly have this mindset that allows you to clearly identify the issue and the solution, then you can just take action efficiently without being slowed down by any of those other things that can mess with you mentally.
Okay. And who's the gentleman that wrote it?
I don't know his name. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. I'll look it up. No problem.
Yeah.
So if you could put one quote or mantra on a billboard, what would it be?
Oh, man. I guess, I don't know if it's something that a lot of people, no, I know what it is. You either got the lesson or there are no failures. You either got the lesson or the result that you needed.
Ooh, that's really good. Ooh, I like that one. Where'd you dig that one up? Is that an Aleasha-ism?
I picked it up from somebody else, but that's like my variation of it. I don't think they said it exactly like that, but I was like, I really like that idea.
Yeah, you need to like stick that on your website, girl. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Very good one. So let's say somebody's listening to this podcast and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to hire Aleasha. She is what I need to start closing these sales. How do they become a client?
Yeah, so I would recommend going to aleashabahr.com, and there's a video on there with the 6 things you can do to immediately close more business. It will soon change to be the 3 secrets to closing over 50% more, a webinar more so. This one is just like an 8-minute video. And then there are daily emails after that, but they're just pure value. I'm not selling anything in them. I get a lot of feedback on them, but you can always unsubscribe. So, and I'll also be releasing a group coaching program very soon, which will be really low entry level. So you'll still be able to get results. And because I think a lot, and I empathize with this so much, that you don't know who to trust and you don't know if somebody's a fit. So it's a great way to get results and figure out if somebody is worth the time investment at the same time.
kind of dip your toe in the water and get to know you a little bit.
Yeah. And I always have fun on those, and people always get results on my group coaching calls. And then one-on-one would be the step after that. So you would apply, basically. There's an application process. It's not extensive or anything, but yeah, to work on.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so very much for your time. I mean, there were some amazing golden nuggets that you threw at us, and so I hope everybody was taking notes. Any last parting words of wisdom?
I mean, based on our conversation, just don't take life too seriously, and it's a lot more fun.
Yeah, that's so true. I know just having the stroke, that put things in perspective real fast. I took myself way too serious before, and now, you know, hey, it's all about helping people and having fun while you do it. So
right? Yes.
Yeah. And it makes life a whole lot less stressful and a whole lot more fun.
Yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy it while we're here. You might as well enjoy it, or you enjoy it or hate it. Why not enjoy it?
Right? Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you so very much. And everybody, make sure that you check out Aleasha's website. Again, it's aleashabahr.com, which is AleashaBahr.com, all one word. And make sure that you watch that video and sign up for her email. And just awesome, get to know her. She is a super awesome source of value for you guys. So Aleasha, thank you so much. And I appreciate you guys. We will see you next time.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to the Automate to Dominate podcast at www.awesomeoutsourcing.com/podcast. My name is Michelle Thompson. Hey guys, if you absolutely love this show, I would greatly appreciate it if you would head on over to iTunes, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star written review. That would be amazing. And as always, if you guys know somebody who should be listening to this podcast, please don't keep it all to yourself. Share it with your friends.